that sort of stuff. Well, I suppose in a way it'll be the same, only I won't be talking like constantly. So, like just give me throat a little bit of a rest, so that basically I can go on longer. Because what I want to do is I want to try and do this in as few sittings as possible. And obviously, all being well, I should get a new PlayStation 3 in, well, what time is it now? It's 11:30, so that's also why I'm a little quiet, by the way. Because half of the time I don't want to wake the family up. But yeah, like we've been 11:30, all being well, I should have a new PS3 in about 12 hours or so. Now, if I was just like doing a pure rush through the game, doing absolutely no extras, reading none of the dialogue, then in that 12 hours, I would more than likely be at the end of the game. So there is that, but at the same time, I don't want to rush through it like that, because when you rush through a game like that, it feels boring. It's like, yeah, okay, there are people who enjoy doing speedruns, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people. Like, if you see, and well, whenever you see an RPG video on my channel, it's 9 times out of 10 gonna be a grinding spot or something like that, because that is one thing that I do. Like I don't like play through the game at the recommended level, if you will. I grind. I grind heavily, really heavily. Like if I find a good spot, I will overpower myself. I mean, there's a spot on here on disc one that I will probably more than likely abuse to get me, well, pretty much end game level. I mean, obviously I won't record all that. I'll record the setup for it and how to do it, and then I'll stop the recording. Well, I'll edit it so that like it picks up when I finish grinding. Because obviously this is going to be no walkthrough. I mean, I suppose some people can use it as a slight walkthrough. To find something that they didn't know about. But well, other than that, it's gonna be what he says. Like it's just gonna be my personal playthrough. I mean, I by no means do everything perfectly, and well, if I'm not recording and I had a lot of free time, then yeah, I'd probably do a pure perfection run, doing all the side quests, grabbing every item, that sort of thing. But because I'm recording, I don't want to bore you guys with like 300 parts of like FF9, and then like 300 parts of FF7, a couple hundred parts of FF8, because I mean that's almost 1,000 videos right there, and that's just on 3 different games. And I don't want to do that. I mean, obviously, like these FF videos are really gonna knock up my video count, but at the same time, it's not gonna be anywhere near as much as like some FF walkthrough channel. Because I mean, I know well, when FF13 2, like before that was actually released, a couple of people got the Japanese version, and they pretty much recorded from start of the game to platinum, and they were doing it in 20-30 minute parts, and they had over 100 videos on that. And 13-2 is a really short game. I mean, it's only a 60-hour plat. I mean, when I platted it for a friend of mine, well, when I platted it for James, because I platted it for myself, and then a short while later I platted it for him as well. And I think how long it took me to plat for James was probably around um uh, I think it was between 40 and 60 hours. I think my plat was about 70 hours. And like that's really short for an RPG. If you ask me, an RPG should at least have 100 hours plus gameplay. Obviously not 100 hours story, because a lot of people would give up on that. Like I'd say maybe 40 to 60 hours for a story is a good amount for an RPG. Whereas then you throw in all these side quests and extras, and that should, like, there should be tons of that on an RPG. because like obviously, well, right, there's the end game boss of any RPG. Well, any RPG with a battle system like this, turn-based battle or something like that, or where you have levels and that, like levels, that sort of thing. Then like the end boss is, it's gonna be rather mediocre. You know what I mean? I know the end boss of FF9 is a little tough if you don't know what you're doing, and even if you do know what you're doing, he can pretty much screw you over. I mean, there's the optional boss on here that, personally, to tell you the truth, I've never beat. I mean, fair enough. I've only got to the area to fight him once. Well, sorry, not once, on one save, and I tried. I'm gonna say 10 to 15 times. Like obviously between each time, I got a little stronger. I changed my equipment around. I still couldn't beat him. So there is that. But the end boss on here is, it can be a little tough if you don't know what you're doing. But other than that, it's not too bad, But yeah, typically in RPGs, like the end boss is sort of like a mediocre kind of thing. I mean, basically in RPGs you can get equipment, you can get levels, you can get stats that once you get them, like it basically goes from mediocre to like, you know what? I'll just leave the game on all night. You'll come back and you still won't be dead. Like that's the thing. I mean, you can in RPGs you can always power up so strong that bosses they can't touch you. Like that will always be a case in RPGs. That's why you need that that extra content. I mean, to me anyway, like you need that extra content for, well, I suppose for like people who enjoy the game and like want to play the game more. But at the same time, like if you enjoy the game, but the game doesn't have like many extra features, once you complete that game, like you're pretty much going to be forced to replay the game, if you get what I mean. And a lot of the times with an RPG, the replay value is not so good because obviously the story. Like what's gonna happen. That guy you've been traveling with since the start of the game's a bad guy. Like that doesn't happen in FF9, but that's a typical RPG subplot. Like you meet the bad guy early on, or like one of your teammates suddenly betray you, something like that. That's a typical thing in RPGs nowadays. And yeah, this is pretty much what I'm gonna do for a little while, and I'm gonna do a few battles, level up, because this is the first part in the game that like you can actually earn XP and money from. Money's not so much an issue in it because like I did that impress 100 nobles on the queen earlier on. So obviously, I've got 10k from that. So I don't really need money at this point. What I do, however, need is XP to level up, and I also want to master the skills. That's one thing I like doing. As soon as I can get a new skill, I master it right there and then. Like, see, EXP 23, AP 1. So obviously I leveled up because that's what the EXP does for me. The AP though is for learning skills, so I'll quickly show you guys what I mean with that now, just in case you haven't played the game. Well, I suppose we'll do something quick, better. Right, if you see here, you've got in the bottom right, detect and flee. That's on 1 out of 40. The AP that we got goes to that, and then we have flee gill 1 out of 45, 1 out of 35 for protect girls, and beast killer 1 out of 30. These are abilities that until you master, you have to have the equipment on to use them. Like you have to have those abilities on the equipment to use them. Whereas once you master them, basically, for the Mage Master, once I get 40 AP, so at this part of the game I'm in right now, it's 40 battles. So once I get those 40 battles done, then I can remove that equipment. I can remove the equipment and still keep those abilities on. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do. And basically, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use this time to, like sort of give my throat a bit of a rest because I've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. So, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this here now. And basically, when the video resumes, it will probably be an hour or so later. I'll be probably around level 8 or something like that with all these abilities mastered. As soon as I master these abilities, then I'll start again and the video will just carry over from there. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed up to this point, and I'll see you soon.